and welcome to the Author Roundup, a special segment of the Book Connection Show where we meet up and coming indie authors and talk to them about their recently released books. Hello, my name is Jenny, and I will be your host for today's episode of Author Roundup. Join me for a chat with an indie author as she talks about her recently published book. She's the author and illustrator of Death's Promise, her first book in the 16-book series entitled Stark Love. She brings to life a tale inspired by her studies in art, philosophy, theoretical physics, and psychology. Death's Promise is the first in the series of interconnected stories she began writing and drawing 10 years ago, following life events that forever changed her view of the world. Please welcome Stark Love. Hi,
Hi.
Stark. Welcome to Author Roundup.
Thank you.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
So, your book, the first in a series of 16 books, was just published this April, right? Can you
Yeah.
tell us more about it, please?
Sure. So this book is set in a universe that has three different realms. So you have a physical dream world and a world called an afterlife. So basically, when you die, you go to this place called the afterlife. The story is basically an anthology. So it presents itself with a bunch of different character stories, and they come together in the end.
I see. And this is just the first book, like you've said. So, can you tell us more about what inspired the idea for your book?
The inspiration for the book is pretty deep. My life experiences have led me to a lot of lessons, and I didn't want to write them so opaquely. So the way I did it was by retranslating them into different characters, such as dragons and aliens and ghosts and demons, vampires, a bunch of different things that you normally wouldn't see together, and it works very beautifully, I think.
This book is self-titled.
Yes.
Right. So, can you tell us why you chose to do that? Like, why you have your name as the title for the series?
So this book, the entire series, basically, I feel like is basically a retelling of everything that I've learned as far as me as an author goes. This story basically writes itself. I let it guide itself. To me, these characters are as real as anything, and I just follow them along on their journey. So I think that it would appeal to a lot of different people because basically it's a whole world that you can fall into. And it's not like you're following one person's development so much as you're learning about yourself as well, and where you might fit into this different place that you wouldn't be used to. Because we all face this death at the end of our lives. It's hard for me to put in words.
I see. So it's something that's drawn from, would you say, life itself, like what you've been through life, or perhaps experiences of people around you, not exactly you, but your experiences as you go through life.
Yeah.
I see.
It's very deep.
And I understand, Stark, that you did the illustrations, and of course, you took care of writing the manuscript yourself as well. Can you tell us how long it took for you to put everything together? I know it's not easy, right? I mean, doing the illustrations and taking care of, the story itself.
Yeah. So I began developing the whole series about 10 years ago.
During that 10 years, have you been doing the illustrations first or doing both at the same time?
When I came to the sort of finalized product of what I was going to create, it took about 2 years, I think. for the whole thing to come together. Many drafts and revisions, and
I can just imagine, the amount of work that you put to it, just because you took care of the illustrations and then the text as well. So 2 years to put everything together, but the entire series it probably took around 10 years, like you've said.
the whole idea to formulate took about 10 years. I expect this series to take the majority of my lifetime to complete.
But if we talk about just the first book, 2 years, you said, for you to finish that.
Yeah.
So, in the 2 years that you've been working on the book, tell us more about your experiences while you were working on it. Can you tell us about what was the fun part in creating the book?
The fun part is I just love drawing, and to be able to share these things that go on in my mind that I wish I could share with other people. I had a really hard time when I was growing up, and there was a lot of things I wish that people would have told me, and less like street lessons I could have learned. So I hope that this book can reach a lot of young adults who maybe are struggling with things in their like daily lives and society and feeling like they don't fit in, and then even darker thoughts about like why anything might be worth doing anything at all. Those are things that I struggled with a lot, and that's sort of where this whole thing came to light. Is, I wasn't sure if I should, pursue anything in life. So I began just looking inward, and just I created this whole place, and it just made sense.
I'm sure that your viewers, our viewers, and our listeners would be able to relate to that when they start to read your book. So, which part do you find to be more enjoyable for you? Would it be the manuscript when you're writing the manuscript, or doing the illustrations?
Throughout this whole process, pretty much the drawings have pushed the writing along, because it maybe being both the author and illustrator, a lot of things that maybe someone who is only writing it wouldn't realize, like that doesn't translate well to a drawing, and that wouldn't be a fun thing to, like, a journey to follow.
Would you say that somehow the illustrations, like you've said, would determine where the story would go? Is that what you were trying to say earlier, or?
A lot of small details and storylines have just come about from just designing where everything fits together visually.
I see. So would you start with the illustrations first and then work on the manuscript, or is that how you would usually do it? I know you would need to have like the idea of how the story would go, but when you start working on the specifics or on the details, do you usually start with the illustrations first?
The entire story began when I was pretty mentally unwell, and so in order to sort of climb out of the abyss that my life became, I started writing.
Okay.
And then I'm taught traditionally in painting, but I took up drawing digitally, so it was about a 2-year learning curve to convert from watercolor, oil and pencil and canvas to drawing digitally. And during that time, basically I just wrote, and I tried to just draw to that. But yeah, as the story sort of developed, and I became clearer in my head, the story, it evolved more toward how the picture was leaning it instead of the text.
Okay.
So in the beginning, it was the text leaning, and the images as I get more clear-headed.
Okay. So most of the illustrations here started off as a traditional drawings that you did, and then you just converted them into digital drawings. Is that correct, or?
No, my technique, I used to draw, paint and draw on paper and canvas, and but was not something that I could basically the way that my art is this like hundreds and hundreds of layers on top of each other, and when I tried to do it on like watercolor, and it just turns my paper into pulp. So it was very frustrating, and for a long time, I spiraled because I couldn't get what was inside of me onto the paper. It just wouldn't translate. So then I found this digital outlet, and it just sort of like exploded into this neon, like very bright, vivid world.
I see. So how many illustrations are there in the book?
Each page is a full illustration. There's 56 full pages.
56.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So that, like you've said, because you enjoy doing illustrations, that was the enjoyable part for you. How about your journey as an author? Which part of the journey is quite difficult or quite challenging for you?
I don't find any of it challenging. It's really enjoyable. It's the book. It's my whole life. That's why it's self-titled. It is my like deepest truth.
It's very personal to you. Like, yeah, I see.
So though I've retranslated all of my life experiences and my stories into different characters, such as tigers and dragons. It's still the messages from my heart.
So the whole journey for you was, there were no, I mean, although I'm sure there are bumps along the way, but when you were working on publishing it, but all of those are not really, they did not really pose a great challenge to you enough to deter you from moving
Never.
on. Yes.
It's I'll never stop. Yeah, this is my heart work. Yeah.
I like that. So your hard work. So
Yes.
This became like an outlet for you. Just like when you were what you were saying earlier, that when you were going through some rough times in your life, this is where you found like an outlet to express yourself and all that.
And a place to understand just where to be and things to look forward to, and because our society is very out of touch with nature and having a deep purpose, and these stories teach a lot about just being true to yourself, being authentic, your authenticity. I've studied a lot of philosophy, existentialism.
So you did say that there are 56 illustrations in the book, since each page would have an illustration. Can you show us your favorite
I can show you.
illustrations there?
I have 3 for you.
All right.
So I can start to show you. So here's one. These are 2 of my dragon characters. So this on your page would be a full page. You can see the color won't really translate, but each page is a full page, and it's just a very small amount of text. I think it's nice because as you sort of absorb just a small amount of text, you can just get lost in all of the little details. And for me, it takes a very long time to just do one page. So, I hope that it can just be enjoyable if at the end of your day, you want to go into somewhere very colorful and everything is just, it's very different.
I like what you said, because I agree that you can really get lost in those illustrations. They are so intricate and so detailed, and you just want to look at it and try to see what else you'll find every time you take a look at these illustrations.
Yeah.
Very vivid colors. And there are 56, like you've said, because this is an illustrated novel. So there's a lot to enjoy, especially for those who are into, graphic novels and all that.
Yes. I'm sorry, it's a delay.
And the book You were showing it to me earlier, like
Yes.
the
Mhm.
book that the hard copy of the book.
Mhm.
Yes, that one. Yeah. So it's quite a big book, right? Yeah. So the illustrations would be very easy to appreciate, very easy to look at, to enjoy.
Yes.
Hmm. Okay, so right, so there. So this was very enjoyable for you. Your journey as an author was very enjoyable for you. What advice can you give to someone who is just starting to write his or her first book?
It's not an easy journey. This is basically your life passion. I think as if you want to be a serious writer, it's sort of something that you have to have an entire life passion for. It's not just a hobby. It's not just a side job. It is your life. If this is really, really something that you care about, it's something that you should really, really invest in.
Yeah, so you have there has to be dedication on your part to,
Yeah.
finish everything and all that.
Mhm.
If I may ask, what kept you motivated all throughout those 10 years while you're working on the series? What's keeping you motivated to just move on and
I have something to say. It's these messages. I hope that I can reach people that need it in the same way that I need to write it and draw.
what message would you like your book to give to your readers?
I want them to find their authenticity. I want them to find their purpose in their own life where they fit. Yeah.
Okay. So, since you said that this is just the first of a series of books, what can we expect from Stark Love? Like, what are your professional goals and your personal goals for this year?
Book 2 is in progress right now.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I think there'll be a book about every year or 2 years. Hopefully, just 1 year between.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that I do full time.
Mm-hmm.
I spend all day on this. I think about it all day, and I really hope that it can and make a difference, even just in some way, in some small way,
Mm-hmm.
because everything in here is just it's just kindness.
Mm-hmm. Where are you at on the second book? Like, are you still working on some illustrations or perhaps in the manuscript, just finishing touches?
The manuscript is done. The illustrations take the most time.
Yeah.
They
Mm-hmm.
do. They take each image can take like weeks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can just imagine. Considering how intricate your illustrations are, they're going to take time. So probably perhaps next year.
Early 2025.
Yeah, because I'm sure that your audience or your readers are after reading the first book, they want to know when the second book will be out.
Oh,
So yeah,
yes.
that's something to look forward to.
Yes.
Mhm. So you said 1 or 2 years for each book. Yeah, so
Yeah, I hope
that's
only 1 year. Yeah.
yeah. But everything else is done already, like the manuscript and all
Mhm.
that for the second book. Just the
Yes.
illustrations, like you said. Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
I as far as the storyline,
Mhm.
it's continuous. It's very,
Yes.
very easy for me to I generate ideas all the time. So I'm already up to book 5 as far as
Wow.
the storyline goes.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's pretty much settled already how the story will go until book 5.
Mhm.
It's just the illustrations that you need to work on.
Yeah, and obviously actually fleshing out the text, but the
Yeah.
story is there. The story is always there. It just runs through me. I feel like I'm just the teller of this story that is already here. That's what it feels like as far as writing it, drawing it.
Do you feel any pressure in, coming up with a second book right away and the third and all that?
Not at all. It
That's
just
great.
flows so easily. Yeah, it's literally I love I love drawing. I love writing this.
Mhm.
I wouldn't want to do anything else except it.
So now that you've told us about your goals, and we're all excited to have book two soon. Okay, what is your final message to your to our readers, and sorry, to your readers and to our viewers and listeners?
This universe is something that I would love to share. There's so much. It's hard for me to put in words. Very taciturn with my words, but you can see in my drawings is really where you're gonna see these stories come to life.
Mhm. Yeah. So your illustrations, your drawings will speak for you.
A lot of my writing is very poetic. I think it's a different experience than reading like a Harry Potter novel series. I think it is because it's not following just one person through their school life and growing up. It's seeing how all of these different things come together and where you might be if you were there too.
And it's going to take your reader into another world,
Yes.
the three realms, like you said.
Yes. Your reality.
Can you please invite them to visit your website and also connect with you through your socials?
Yeah. Let me give you my website link on however you want to share it. It's stark-love-books.com. You can buy it there.
Yeah, so there's a link to purchase the book there
Yeah.
in Stark's website. And also, if they want to connect to you or with you through Facebook, they can also do so.
Mhm.
I see. So thank you, Stark, for sharing to us about your book and your journey as an author. So that has been a fascinating conversation. To all our viewers and listeners, please make sure that you get a copy of Stark Love's book, Death's Promise. So it's a 56-page illustrated novel, and it's available in paperback, hardback, and ebook. So for those who prefer the digital copy, you can always get an ebook. You can order it through Ex Libris online bookstore, as well as Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, other reseller sites, and of course through Stark's website. So there's a link there for you to purchase your her book. So thanks again, Stark, and to all our viewers and listeners. Thank you for joining us. See you in the next episode of Author Roundup.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.